setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
And hello and welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. Glad you've joined me. Listen, our conversation in this segment, or this episode, I should say, I forget to call them episodes, but that's what they are in podcasts. We're going to be talking about the CV-19 or the COVID-19 and how mediation is really needed, because it's going to be crisis. With every crisis, there comes conflict. Every conflict has a crisis that is attached to it, especially with COVID-19. So that's going to be our conversation. I'll be right back right after this. This podcast is produced and sponsored by Lodge & Company, a fully certified business mediation firm. For mediation, send a text to 818-252-5682.
World of Business and Taxes on WBT.
So that's the amazing thing about any type of crisis. Everybody has a conflict, especially in business. Businesses have a lot of conflict. But we also have to worry about the communities in which we live. There's conflict there too. There's conflict in households, small businesses, communities. And what happens is that crisis breeds conflict. It breeds it. The stress of economic uncertainty and dislocation caused by CV-19 are only outpaced by an anxiety many feel for the safety of their loved ones. So in this type of difficult time where we're faced with a crisis, conflict management or mediation needs to come in, because there's a third party that can hear both sides and bring both sides together. That's what's wonderful about mediation. You're able to express how you're feeling, and you're able to discuss on how to resolve it. And with a mediator, through mediation, it's the best approach. Human resource professionals use this all the time because they're not quite sure exactly what's going to happen. Human resource professionals have sought advice on how to deliver bad news. When large and small companies must furlough employees, key messages to convey include let's say, make sure they know this is not tied to their productivity or work ethic. You are a valued employee and we will call you back as soon as work resumes. Or it could be to provide hope. Here is a list of local resources, including the Food Bank, United Way, Unemployment Office, Housing Assistance, etc. And then you also need to communicate, this is what we know, this is what we do not know, and this is when we will update you. When employees lack the adequate information, they often feel in the gaps by turning their worst fears into mental reality, which becomes gossip and goes viral. So I would suggest that you share all available valued information and share it often. Keep in contact. Touch base with them periodically during the furlough period to ensure them they are not out of sight and they're not out of mind. because they're unsure of what's going to happen. There's also the type of mediation that needs to happen maybe even within family issues. There's going to be family violence issues because people in cramped quarters turn on each other sometimes. And it may just take a little spark. So those kind of things need to be talked about. If you feel that you're getting to that point, call a mediator so that they can sit down with all sides and say, how do I best approach this? What are our agreement going to be to manage this time together in lockdown? It has to be discussed. There are some families out there who are very stressed at this moment. Both husband and wife and family members have lost their work. They've lost their job. They've lost their income to flow in to pay those bills. And the most stress in any kind of family is finance. When family members come to me for mediation, it's usually about financial issues. Because that finance is a heavy burden on their shoulders, especially when there's no job. So this needs to be talked out. It needs to be talked out. And then there's going to be parenting disputes. Some parents have withheld their children from court-ordered visitation because they're afraid of what's going to happen with this virus. Now, courts around the country have issued guidance which generally states that regular visitation should occur in spite of stay-at-home orders. However, if the away parent is sick or has been exposed to COVID-19, there may be good reason to postpone scheduled parenting time. Police will not generally get involved in these matters, but will instead suggest that parents seek court action if they feel the other parent has violated the court order in parenting, especially the parenting plan. There may be some temporary measures that parents are going to have to work together. And maybe a mediator is going to have to come through. And maybe there's going to have to be internet visitation until the virus is cleared. We're going to have to be a little bit creative here. You parents just don't withhold visitation rights, but find other ways to get it. Maybe a mediator can sit down with you and work that through or suggest things, say things to you. So we're learning a lot about this teleconferencing. I do all of my mediation now via teleconference. I like to do it by face-to-face because I've got both parties there. I can read their body language and everything else. On video, sometimes it's difficult. But teleconference and online dispute resolution is here to stay, I'm afraid. And you're going to see more and more of us out there resolution. Now, my whole office here is set up for teleconference, and I do it all the time. Because I can bring it up, I can move them into different rooms. If it gets disputed or heated, I can move that individual into another room, go to that room, talk with them, then come back to the other room. It's just like having a conference room in other separate meeting rooms, but it's all online. And that's the way it's going to be, I'm afraid, for a while. So disputes can be done via teleconference. Don't be afraid of it. Do it. On the app that I use for teleconferencing, you can use it on your cell phone to talk with me. You can use it on your computer to talk with me. You've got those choices. If you're traveling, you need to mediate with somebody, you can do it via right on your phone or your laptop or your iPad. I'm available there for you for virtual conferencing. It's important. If you feel that a situation is getting to a conflict mode, and you think that, you think you need to resolve it before it gets out of hand, because the longer that you let a conflict stew, the worse it becomes. I'm telling you. Bring in a mediator. A mediator can sit you down, listen to the story that you have to tell, listen to the other side's story, get you to come together and communicate and negotiate something out that's workable and fair to both of you. That's what's so important about mediation. That's what it was designed for. We're not here to practice law. In fact, we're not even allowed to practice any kind of law or give you any kind of legal advice. Our role is to get you to talk, to communicate. Have a third party that can take some of the stressful load off and offer some insight and offer some ways to settle this dispute. Don't let it go too far, because I tell you, and I said this just a few seconds ago, the bigger the conflict and dispute becomes, the worse it becomes. It takes a toll on your physical self, on your mental self, on the people that are around you. So if you have a conflict, you're sitting at home right now and you're having the conflict, you're not able to see your grandson, but they won't allow you to see them. Bring in the mediator, and we can mediate it through so that we can get you guys talking again. And we're going to have to be creative on the way that you have visitation rights, because right now, with COVID, a lot of families are afraid. So we need to do something that's very positive and very proactive. And that is, if you have a conflict that is causing stress within the family or within your workplace or between your employees, or your employees are stressed out, they don't know what's going on, bring in a mediator so that they can bring you two together, soften the blow, and work it out. That's what mediation's for. It should be used every single day. I tell you, if mediation is used, there will be less cases in court. Has an 85% success rate. So I really encourage you, if you have a conflict, mediate it. If you have a conflict, mediate it. If you need help in this issue, send me a text at 818-252-5682 and I'll get right back with you. We can set up an appointment. We can talk things through and we can get things going. Again, that's 818-252-5682. Send me a text. This is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.